Sixers fans, how we feeling out there? Hey y'all, my name is Lauren Gordon. Some of you may already know me on social media as Lauren Fan of the Year. Others may have just stumbled upon this podcast, but either way, I want to first thank all of you for tuning in to Season 2, Episode 15 of my very first podcast. I'm just the Sixers fan, the Lauren Fan of the Year story. Now let's continue the story. Y'all, the time is now early September 2021. On September 1st, the LibertyLine.com reported Tyrese Maxey is staying put, will not request trade from 76ers. Y'all, I was so relieved because Tyrese Maxey was becoming one of my favorite players. He was just a kid out there on the basketball court having fun. He was lightning quick, attacked the rim, never shied away from physical contact. He played aggressively, all with a smile. How could you not love him? Tyrese had this innocence about him that I was drawn to. He kind of reminded me of my own son. It was still early in his career, and I knew that Maxey had it. Whatever it is, Tyrese Maxey had it. Now, y'all, I'm not saying at the time he was on Iverson's level as far as talent goes, but he was Iverson-esque. And by that, I mean, when he went on the court, he gave everything he had. I respect players like that. I also respect the fact that Tyrese Maxey is a gym rat and don't mind putting in the work. And unlike AI, Maxey was dedicated to practice. Fun fact, September 8th is Clarence Weatherspoon and Mo Cheek's birthday. And of course, that day, they got a Lauren Fan of the Year birthday shout out. But y'all, anyway, remember, during this time, it was reported that Ben wanted out of Philly. Well, on September 9th, I saw an interview on Twitter with Nichelle Turner, probably best known as one of the co-hosts of ET Entertainment Tonight, conducting an interview with Charles Barkley, Shaq, and Spice Adams. And y'all, full transparency, I didn't really know who Spice Adams was, so I looked him up, and he's a former NFL defensive tackle. Well, anyway, Nichelle said, the Philadelphia experiment is going to end ugly. And Charles Barkley responded, quote, I'm disappointed in Ben Simmons. When you give somebody $200 million to dribble a stupid basketball, and the only thing you ask of him is be better as a player, and their response, I don't want to play here anymore, that disappoints me as a player. It disappoints me as a fan. They didn't say, hey, come over and cut my grass. They're saying, Ben, we need you to learn how to shoot the basketball. End quote. Then Shaq chimed in. Quote, I have G14 classification to say what I'm about to say, and so does Charles Barkley. Ben Simmons, you're not that good. And in this league, do you want to be good or do you want to be great? You're not great, but if you want to get to the next level, you have to be great. And to be great, you have to work on your game. Don't be putting pictures on your Instagram of your Ferrari or what actors you hanging around with. When you play for a town like Philadelphia, Boston, LA, Miami, hardworking towns, they don't give a ish about that. They want you to come, work hard, and play hard. I was at that Game 6 when that man didn't even look at the basket. And I know as a player, first thing I do is look in the player's eyes. That man was out there terrified. Not terrified to play, but terrified to be fouled and missing free throws. Forget all that, end quote. Then y'all, Spice jumped in with, quote, what's crazy, when you see videos that he put up, he's making those shots that he didn't take, end quote. Shaq nodded in agreement and added, quote, and making them, end quote. Barkley jumped back in with, quote, "I lived in Philadelphia this summer. This is the third year in a row they put up them BS jump shots during the summer. I'm not falling for the banana and the tailpipe anymore." End quote. Shaq said, quote, "A lot of these people, you hear from your followers how good you are, how great you are, but you hearing it from some OGs right now. You ain't that damn good. And I said it. And I said what I said. And Chuck said what he said. And if you don't like it, do what you got to do, but you ain't that damn good." End quote. Damn. Y'all, that's why I love Charles and Shaq. Like what they say or not, they always gonna keep it 100. No lies were detected because it was the truth, especially the part when Barkley said when someone gives you $200 million to play basketball and the only ask is to improve each season, it is kind of arrogant to be like, "I don't want to play here anymore." Ben definitely thought he was better than he really was. A lot of that was the media's fault, the organization's fault, a lot of the fans' fault, including myself, because we valued Ben higher than he actually deserved. Ben was talented, but he wasn't top tier in the NBA. Also, rewatching that interview reminded me that I forgot to mention the whole relationship that Ben had with Kendall Jenner. Now, I'm all for athletes having a personal life. I mean, they are human. However, I did have my concerns that he was linked up with a Kardashian/Jenner. Because, y'all, let's face it, no man who's dated a Kardashian-Jenner has ever left that relationship unscathed. I remember during the time that they were dating, Kendall attended a few home games, and she would sit close to the Sixers bench, like almost courtside. And if you watched a game on television, the camera would pan to her, and people who was watching the game from home would text me while I was at the live game asking if I saw her. Well, my seats were on the same side of the court, but at the far opposite end. So I didn't really have a good angle to see her. But like I said, she was there maybe a handful of times, but the games that she did attend, she was never announced, ever. It's odd, y'all, because they always announce celebrities and VIPs sitting in attendance, right? But y'all already know that had they announced Kendall Jenner and she appeared on the Jumbotron, y'all know she would have gotten booed out of the arena. I'm sure she was there to support Ben, but she was also smart to keep a low profile. Ben was young, and I think he was just caught up in that whole glitz, glamour, stardom of the Hollywood lifestyle. And y'all, that was a far cry from being constantly criticized and humbled in Philadelphia. I told y'all I was a loyal 97.5 The Fanatic listener. I tuned in first thing in the morning until I fell asleep at night. I listened while I worked. I listened while in the car. I listened while cooking dinner, while walking my dog, while washing dishes, while folding laundry. Y'all get the idea. And I loved all of the radio hosts. I loved John Kincaid and the bro, Jamie Lynch. I think Bob Cooney was with them at the time on the morning show. Anthony Gargano, Andrew Salchunas, middays. Mikey Miss, Tyrone Johnson, Jen Scordo in the afternoon, and then it was my guy, Devon Givens, for the night show. On the regular, I'd text Jamie during the morning show. I'd call in often to Anthony Gargano's midday show, and I'd tweet Devon during his night show. So I'm saying all this to say, y'all, I was a huge fan of the 97.5 The Fanatic station. And in my opinion, they had the best sports talk lineup on the airwaves. Well, y'all, every year, 97.5 The Fanatic hosted Fan Fest, a huge gathering of Philadelphia sports fans at Xfinity Live. Y'all, I'm talking Eagles fans, Phillies fans, Flyers fans, Union fans, and of course, Sixers fans. They bring us all together and we'd rep our favorite Philadelphia sports team. And there would be music and activities, food, drinks, vendors, live sports interviews, your chance to meet the radio hosts and other celebrities and sports people walking through the crowds. It was awesome. You needed a ticket to attend, but the tickets were free. Now, you could get a ticket by being, let's say, the ninth caller or something like that, right? Or there would be these ticket raids where the radio hosts would say they were handing out tickets at a certain location in town, and then you would have to be there at a certain time to, get your ticket. So basically, the station made it very easy for anyone who wanted to attend to be able to get a ticket. Well, every week leading up to FanFest, the radio host would announce the name of a special guest who was in the lineup to appear at FanFest. Usually it's a popular Philadelphia sports athlete or a music group. Well, one day while tuning in, it was announced that Tyrese Maxey was going to be at FanFest. And even though I attended previous FanFests, I thought, oh snap, I got to be there this year to see Tyrese Maxey. I need a FanFest ticket. So y'all, later that week, I could have sworn I heard an advertisement on 97.5 The Fanatic that if you went to this blood plasma place, you would receive 2 tickets to FanFest. Now, I can't remember the name of the place. I think it was like CSL Plasma or something like that. It was one of their sponsors. And I believe they were the ones sponsoring Tyrese Maxey at FanFest. Well, I remember this CSL Plasma, I think that was the name of it, had a lot of locations because I remember Googling the closest location and it said it was like a 45-minute drive. So y'all, I hopped in my car, drove the 45 minutes to the facility. I walked in and I remember I was wearing a Sixers t-shirt, which wasn't unusual because I wore Sixers stuff every day. I walked up to the reception window, said hello, I'm here to get my 2 FanFest tickets. The receptionist gave me an odd look, handed me some pamphlets on blood plasma donations, and said she had no idea what FanFest was. I told her about the 97.5 The Fanatic FanFest and the advertisement I'm sure I heard on the radio station about getting FanFest tickets. And as I was talking to her, she was slowly shaking her head no. So then I asked her, has anyone else come by and asked for FanFest tickets? And she said, nope, you're the only one. Well, y'all, I felt silly. The receptionist was very nice and told me to hold on a minute while she'd ask around. And I saw her going from coworker to coworker, and then they would all look over at me and they shook their head no. And I thought, oh man. The receptionist came back over with some lady who I assumed was the manager, and she said that she could take my name and number, and if they heard anything else pertaining to 97.5 The Fanatic or FanFest, they would contact me. I thanked them and apologized for any confusion on my part. Y'all, feeling dejected, I walked back to my car. I knew I wasn't crazy. I knew I heard that advertisement. I wouldn't have traveled that far for FanFest tickets if I wasn't sure. I sat in the car to set my GPS to head back home, and I remembered I had Jamie Lynch's cell phone number. Remember, I told y'all, I worked with Jamie's mom, Eileen, and Eileen's sister, which was Jamie's Aunt Weezy. Y'all, Jamie, let me tell y'all about Jamie Lynch for a minute. Jamie is one of the coolest people you could ever meet. And y'all, I forgot to tell you about the time when my youngest daughter, Kendall, was in high school. And I believe it was like back in 2019. It was around the time when students began to think about their career. And Kendall was given a class project to research the career she was interested in. Well, Kendall wasn't exactly sure what she wanted to do, but she knew she wanted to do something along the lines of being involved with television and radio. And I didn't know anyone in television at the time, but I did know Jamie was on the radio. So I reached out to him on Kendall's behalf. And y'all, Jamie allowed Kendall to shadow him during the live radio morning show when Jamie was with Mark Farzetta, Trey Thomas, and Sam Wilson. And y'all, Kendall and I were both grateful for that opportunity. And Kendall ended up getting an A+ on her research project. And that experience had such an impression on her that Kendall would graduate Widener University, magna cum laude, majoring in communications. And current day, at the time that I'm actually recording this podcast, Kendall is now a television producer for a news station in Delaware. So I guess you could say that Jamie played a part in Kendall's career path selection. So while still sitting in the parking lot of CSL Plasma, I texted Jamie asking if I was crazy or if he knew anything about this plasma place handing out FanFest tickets. I told him, I got to see Tyrese Maxey. I just have to. He's my favorite. Now, because I was friends with the family, Jamie already knew my whole Sixers story up until that point and knew that I was a huge Sixers fan. He told me not to worry. He'd have 2 FanFest tickets waiting for me at the gate. Just text him when I arrived. I thanked him repeatedly and told him I look forward to seeing him at FanFest. Saturday, September 18th, was the 97.5 The Fanatic FanFest. None of my kids were available to go with me, so I asked my niece Taylor if she wanted to go. She said, of course. She loves hanging out with me and is always down for a good time. It was a beautiful day, and even though it was September, it was very hot. We waited by the entrance gate, and I texted Jamie to let him know that we were there. Jamie texted back immediately and said that he was on his way. As Jamie approached the gate, I waved frantically, excited to see him. He gave us these VIP badges and told us to have fun. The VIP badges gave us access to the upstairs private area inside of Xfinity that was reserved only for the Fanatic staff, their family, and VIPs. There was plenty of food and an open bar area, and I was like, shoot, this is my entire vibe. Sports, repping my Sixers, food, drinks, music, people. Y'all, I was in my element. And being that it was so hot outside, it was nice to have the private indoor space that was air-conditioned and provided the comfort that I was looking for. Taylor and I grabbed a plate of food, a drink, and spotted an open table near the balcony. I didn't want to miss seeing Tyrese Maxey. He was the main reason why I wanted to attend FanFest. I just had to see him. Every time I saw a staff person walk by, I'd say, "Excuse me, do you know where Tyrese Maxey is going to be? And do you know approximately what time he's going to come out?" I don't know if you've ever been inside of Xfinity, but there are different spaces and rooms within the building. And Tyrese Maxey could be meeting fans in any one of those spaces at any time. I told y'all I had attended previous fan fests, and one year when Allen Iverson was a guest, it was a madhouse just to see him. At that time, I was fine with standing way back and seeing AI over a sea of Philly sports fans because remember, I had met Allen multiple times and had spent family time with him due to my family connections. So it wasn't necessarily a big deal for me to get real close and see Allen again. I knew that it would mean more to the other fans, giving them the opportunity to see AI up close. But y'all, I had never met Tyrese Maxey, and I didn't want to be all the way in the back. I just wanted to find out where he was going to be, what time, so that I could get as close as possible. So anyway, I'm having a great time with Taylor, but y'all, I can't relax until I find out when and where I need to be to see Tyrese Maxey. Jamie, along with all the other radio hosts, were super busy that day. Remember, they're there to meet and greet and take photos with all the listeners and whatnot. So I knew that he was busy, but Jamie came over just to check on Taylor and me to see how we were doing. And we both thanked him for hooking us up, and we told him that we were having a blast. Remember, we were good, y'all, because it was hot outside, and we had a seat inside with the air conditioner, with the food, with the drinks. I told him Taylor and I were pretty much staying in that VIP private area, and we were good. But if he heard anything about Maxey, to text me. And remember, I told y'all, every employee that walked by, I told them the same thing. If they heard or saw anything about Tyrese Maxey, to let me know. Taylor and I were at the table taking selfies when this lady with a walkie-talkie came up to me and said, "Are you Lauren?" I said, "Yes." She said, "I was told to find you. Follow me." She talked fast and moved fast, so I jumped up immediately, fumbling for my fanny pack. Taylor said, "Just go. I got it, and I'm right behind you." The lady escorted us across the room, and I saw a long line of people to my left. We quickly weaved in and out of the line as she commanded everyone to clear the way. She was walking so fast that I was jogging to keep up with her steps. As I looked ahead, I saw a backdrop, and then I saw him, and I yelled back with excitement, "Oh my God, Taylor, it's him. It's Tyrese Maxey." I sped up a little bit to keep up with the lady with the walkie-talkie, and we walked right to the front of the line, and someone unhooked the rope at the front of the line. The lady walked me directly to Tyrese Maxey and said, "Coming through with your #1 fan." Y'all, my eyes were wide, and I said, "Oh my God, Tyrese, it's really you. I wanted to meet you so bad. I am so proud of you. I am so glad that you are a Philadelphia 76er. He flashed that Tyrese Maxey smile that we all love. And y'all, I couldn't believe it. I was talking to Tyrese Maxey, and I was definitely fanning out, y'all. Tyrese Maxey spoke to me as if he was as excited to meet me as I was to meet him. Oh my God, y'all, he is so humbled, just a great guy. He thanked me for being a fan. We took a bunch of pictures, and he gave me a big hug, and that made my entire day. As y'all know, I've met a lot of athletes and famous people in my lifetime, but meeting Tyrese Maxey was definitely one of those OMG moments that had me feeling like a kid again. Taylor quickly took a photo with Tyrese, and then the select fans who were waiting in line had their moment. After meeting the fans in line, Maxey went downstairs to that main floor level where, y'all, no lie, hundreds of fans had gathered for his onstage interview. Taylor and I could see the interview from our table and seats up in that VIP area because we sat right at the balcony where we had the best view above the crowd. Then I remembered I had my Sixers flag in my fanny pack. I would always carry my Sixers flag because I never knew when I would need to pull it out to rep my squad. So as Maxey was brought out to the stage, all of the fans were going crazy. I pulled up my Sixers flag and I proudly waved it above the crowd from the balcony. I can't remember exactly who was conducting the one-on-one interview at the time. Maybe it was Tom McGinnis. I can't remember. Well, he pointed out my flag that I proudly waved above the crowd. Maxey acknowledged it and talked about what it meant for him to be a Philadelphia 76er. I also remember that it was brought up during the interview that Tyrese Maxey at the time was only 20 years old. Y'all, legally, he wasn't even old enough to have a drink. After that interview, I was convinced. We are lucky to have this young man on our squad. What an awesome day. This was hands down the best fan fest I had ever attended. I took photos with everyone that day, every single 97.5 The Fanatic radio host, including Dee Lynam. In case you don't know, Dee is the daughter of former Sixers coach Jamie Lynch. Jimmy Lynam is now a host on NBC Sports Philadelphia with Amy Fadul and Mark Jackson. Well, anyway, I have mad respect for Dee Lynam. She's a female who knows her sports, especially basketball, the NBA, and our Philadelphia 76ers. Dee is the person who, when I was a kid, was the person I wanted to be when I grew up. I love her. I'm a huge fan, and I was grateful for the opportunity to finally meet her and have actual conversations with her, letting her know how much she's inspired me. So overall, y'all, that day was incredible. I am forever grateful to Jamie Lynch for the VIP hookup and for giving me that incredible opportunity to meet my new favorite Sixers player, Tyrese Maxey. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And be sure to tune in next time as we continue the story.